Hey, so I wanted to talk to you guys about something that I know probably every single empath on the planet has experienced at one time or another. Whether they acknowledged that it was this or not can vary, because it's interesting that this isn't a one size fits all diagnosis, or it's not a one size fits all label. It can vary, and I think that's why it's confusing for a lot of people. So Spirit was giving me this information early in the morning, which they often sometimes do. And so I'm going to give it to you in the way that they've explained it, because I feel like there's probably a lot of people that are going through this, have been going through it, maybe your whole life, maybe for a big part of your life, but especially when we have these big energy cycles that are coming through, you may be feeling it more. So I'm talking about having anxiety or panic attacks. And so here's the thing that I want to really just simplify off the start from this, is that when we talk about anxiety or we talk about panic attacks, what it really is, it's just a huge amount of incoming energy that is in excess of your body. Okay, so simply, that's the simplest way to explain this. Okay, so everybody can experience this different. Everybody can have the perception of it being a little bit different based on where your base frequency is. Okay, so remember, everything carries a frequency, everything carries a vibration. Your particular human avatar carries a base frequency. So based on all of the experiences that you've had, all the trauma, all the drama, all the illness, all the emotional upset, all the good times, all the great times, all the awesome times, this collection of experiences generates a frequency for you. And so we call this your base frequency. Now, it doesn't stay the same all of the time. It's constantly, going up and down and moving through the different frequencies. But you do have a base frequency. So meaning that you can tell when you are in a good place, when you're feeling good energetically, emotionally, spiritually, you can tell that that's your base frequency. You're good there. And if you're feeling really good, really excited, really happy about things, you can go up in frequency. The opposite, if you're feeling really bad about things, you can go down in frequency. And so what happens when we experience anxiety or a panic attack is there is a huge influx of energy that's coming through. So collectively, through this whole planet, the energy comes through our physical vessels and then gets stuck in them. Okay? So in a healthy human avatar, in a body that's really balanced, and on days when you are in balance, these energies will come through and they will go out. Right? So only coming in, keeping what you need of it and discarding the rest. What happens is when we go out of balance, these energies come in and they stay. They just get stuck in the human vehicle. And because these human vehicles are very limited energetically, meaning they can only carry so much energy at one time without using it, it's kind of like having a car with a gas tank. Your gas tank only has a capacity to hold so much gas. If you put too much gas in the gas tank, the gas is going to pour out of the tank. And so the same thing happens when we talk about these energies that are coming through and not being able to use them. Okay. So that's kind of like the logistics of how that works and how it is. Now, here's something to really remember. There's a couple of things that will affect the way your body processes the energies, okay? And this goes when we talk about going and looking into our human vehicle, our human avatar, because there are things specifically that will affect the frequency, the vibration of the human body. And one of those things, or a collection of those things, are viruses, bacteria, parasites, pathogens, toxins. So all of those things collective, we can throw heavy metals into that as well. It's a toxicity. But if we throw all of those things in, and if your human body has an abundance of those things, when those energies come through, those energies can actually trigger the activity of all of that, of the pathogens in your body. You guys following me on this? So you will often see people who suffer from anxiety or panic attacks. They often will have an overburdened human body with pathogens, toxins, viruses, parasites, bacteria. They will often have an overburdened body with that, right? Because remember, viruses, parasites, bacteria, they all carry a frequency. They all carry a frequency as well. And so when you have these beings, they're like, they are beings because they actually eat, they secrete, they have an agenda, they want to live, they come into you as a host to live. So you have all of these beings that carry their own frequencies, right? And so part of that in itself can activate anxiety or a panic attack, right? Just think about it, it's kind of like having too many cooks in the kitchen. When you have too much energy happening in the body can't process it. And so it can trigger the feelings of anxiety or the feelings of having a panic attack. Now, another thing that can happen, and especially if you are somebody who's an empath or sensitive, is you can also have a highly sensitive nervous system, okay? And you will hear some people talk about this. It's called a dysregulated nervous system. And so what that basically means is it means that your nervous system, your fight or flight response is really trigger friendly. So meaning it will go off at the slightest thing. And so Spirit gave me this really good, they showed me this kind of way to explain it best so that everybody will understand it. But just imagine if you had a break-in in your house. So imagine you were home when it happened. Somebody tried to break into your house to rob you. The whole experience would be terrifying. Everything would happen. Your adrenaline would come through, your cortisol would come up, all your stress hormones, your heart would probably start to race. You would maybe feel dizzy, you'd feel spacey, like all of that would happen, right? And when that happens, when your house is being robbed, you completely understand it because you're like, okay, my body's doing this because I'm being robbed. I'm being under attack. And so my body's doing what it needs to do, right? It's putting me into fight or flight mode. So either I'm going to fight the attacker or I'm going to flee from the attacker. And so in that instance, if your house is being robbed and you're having that kind of reaction, it's completely justified, right? You completely understand it. You wouldn't go into fear about it because you'd be like, okay, this is normal. I'm under attack. This is how I react. But what happens is when you are highly sensitive or you have a highly sensitive nervous system, and you're somebody who has had a number of these attacks or a number of these experiences, and you haven't healed from them, right? You haven't healed from them in the deepest ways that you need to heal from them. What happens is these wounds stay in your energetic field. And now anything can trigger these. So it could be somebody raising their voice. It could be a video that you watch. It could be a scary movie. It could be having to slam your brakes on in the car. All these little things that normally when it would happen in everyday life, it would happen and then you would carry on. You wouldn't get stuck in that. But if you're somebody that has a sensitive nervous system or a dysregulated nervous system, then those things can trigger anxiety or a panic attack. Does that make sense to you guys? And so what we need to do is we need to heal all of those things. And you can see how all of those things can be healed. And the thing that Spirit wants to remind us is that, you see, all those things are not who we are, right? They don't belong to us. They're not who we are. We're not our memories. We're not our experiences. We're certainly not our viruses or parasites or bacteria, right? So none of those things belong to us. So this is where the healing of it all comes in. One thing that's really, really important to understand in this, though, and trust me, as somebody who has had firsthand experience with anxiety and panic attacks, and had to dive deep into understanding them and knowing how they're created, what the cause is, how to heal, knowing all of this, there's one thing that you won't hear anybody talk about, really. There are very few people, and this is where the information that comes through Anthony William through the Spirit of Compassion is invaluable, because here's the thing we have to remind ourselves about. There's always a cause for something. So there's always a cause and always an effect that happens from the cause. Make sense? So Western medicine is really, really good, or really, really bad, however you want to look at it, at never saying what the cause of something is. And so, yes, you could go to your doctor and you could say, you know what, I'm having anxiety, I'm having panic attacks, I don't feel well, I'm not sleeping well, I'm having depression. You could come to your doctor with all of these issues, and your doctor will give you a prescription, medication that is supposed to help these issues. But what the medications do is they put a Band-Aid on it. So yes, okay, maybe you're not having the symptoms to as a high degree as you were before, but they're still there. There are very few people that are on medication for their anxiety that still don't experience anxiety, which just goes to show you, is your medication really working? But what your doctor won't say to you is, your doctor will not say to you, here's what the cause is. And this is where, once you understand what the cause is, then you can go in and you can treat the root of it, right? You can go to the root of the problem and begin to heal it at the root. Does that make sense? Because if we're just healing something up at the top all of the time, we're literally just putting a Band-Aid on it. It will keep on growing, right? That's when we talk about the roots. So when we talk about root causes of anxiety and panic attacks, we are talking about viruses, parasites, bacteria, heavy metals, pathogens. We're talking about toxins in your body, right? This is a cause. This means that if we heal the cause, we remove the cause, then the symptoms that can be triggered from stress or emotional wounds or trauma, those things will heal. They'll get a chance to heal. Does that make sense to you guys? If we could continue taking the supplements, and we continue eating the fruits and vegetables, and we could continue meditating, praying, and doing all of that. But if we don't heal the root cause of it, then we will continue to have that experience. Does that make sense? And yes, all of the other stuff, the meditation, the prayer, the supplements, the herbs, the fruits, the vegetables, all that stuff is super, super important as well, because doing all of that stuff takes a load off of your immune system. And your immune system and your nervous system work together. This is another thing that Western medicine does, is they go, well, here's your cardiovascular system, here's your digestive system, here's your nervous system, all these separate entities, but they're not. They all are 24/7 communicating. They're 24/7 working together. If one system's not working well, the other one steps in. They're constantly trying to put your body into balance. Constantly. This is how hard your body works for you. So when we go in and we look at the root cause of it, so lowering our viruses, removing the toxicities, the heavy metals, things like hair color and makeup, all of the stuff that affects your central nervous system, which then affects your immune system. When we go in and we remove all of those things, our energetic frequency becomes lighter. Does that make sense? So all of those things that we say that we would call them bad, right? The toxicities, the pathogens, the viruses, the bacteria, the heavy metals, those all have a lower frequency. They vibrate at a lower frequency. And so as long as we're carrying lower frequency vibrational energy in our vehicle, it makes it really hard for us to heal. Does that make sense? It also will cause us, when these energies are coming in, these big high waves of energy are coming in, when they're coming in, they're clashing with the lower vibrational frequencies that we have. So that can be a reason why, if you're somebody who's really sensitive to the geostorms or the solar flares, or when we have the Schumann spikes, if you're really, really sensitive to those, and I was for years, they would knock me out, put me into panic, make me feel anxious, all of that. And the reason was that my toxic load, my lower vibrational frequencies were too high. Does this make sense? So they're saying to me right now, think about it about being in balance. You're constantly trying to create balance within. That's what your nervous system does. And here's the thing I want you to remember, and Spirit made this clear, this is really important. When you are feeling anxious, when you are feeling like you're going into a panic attack or you're having a panic attack, you do not have to get rid of how you're feeling. You do not have to stop it. You do not have to force it to stop. You do not have to be fearful of it. You have to recognize first and foremost that your body is doing exactly what it is designed to do. Exactly. All that stuff that you're feeling, the dizziness, the heart palpitations, the sweaty, the deregulation, the depersonalization, all of that stuff, your body is doing because it's trying to save you. It's trying to protect you. Now, is there an actual threat that you need to be saved and protected from? Probably not. And that's where that hypersensitivity comes in. So that's when you can say to yourself, okay, thank you, body. Thank you so much for setting off the alarm, but we can shut the alarm off now because we're okay. And the more you do that, the more you, and especially as soon as you start to feel it, right? I know for me, because I'm so sensitive to energies, I could feel it when it started to like it'd be just the slightest little switch in my energy and I could feel it. And what I would do is I would focus on it, right? What's that? Oh, that's that anxiety. Oh, I don't like that, right? I would focus and then my mind gets involved in it. And then right away, all the alarms are going off and boom, I'm in fight or flight mode. And guys, I was stuck in that mode for almost a year, like stuck in it. Like the switch rarely went off. And that's how you get sick. That's how people get sick. And so you want to, when those feelings come in, when you start to feel them, when it comes in and you have that, first of all, have the acknowledgement that that's just excess energy coming in. That's all you're feeling. You're just feeling the energy coming in. You don't have to think about whether it's good or bad. You don't have to think about whether it's high or low. It's just energy coming through. And if you know and recognize that you're still working on healing your physical body, you know that when that energy comes through, it's probably not going to feel great because you still have some stuff to clean up. But you don't have to go into the full blown. So then you know all the facts, you know the cause, you know the triggers, you know what's happening. You can just say to your body, thank you. Thank you for letting me know, but we're okay. We're safe and we're okay. And a really cool thing happens because once you start to have that connection, right, that instead of running outside yourself to get help, right, you connect with yourself. Once you start to have that, that calming, that reassurance, everything's okay, the part in your brain that goes off, your amygdala in your brain, the one that's setting off the alarm, gets the message that everything's okay. And so the next time a trigger comes through again, so next time it's a big energy wave or it's an emotional upset or whatever it is, and that alarm goes off and you say, we're okay, that whole process will start to diminish. It'll start to go away quicker. And then what will eventually happen is those energies will come through. You'll have that awareness. Okay, this is the anxiety, this is the panic, whatever it is, whatever degree you're experiencing it in. It will come through and you'll be like, oh, that's not my energy. I don't need it. It can go. And it will come and it will go. And I promise you that's what happens. That's what happens. It comes in and then it goes. And it doesn't get stuck in you. And you're not having the anxiety. You're not having the panic attack. You're not having the intrusive thoughts, the deep feeling. You're not having any of that because your vessel only takes what it needs from the energies and then lets the rest go. And you can get there. It takes a little bit of work to get there. It's certainly going to be easier if you don't take something that suppresses everything, right? If you don't just do the band-aids, it will be easier if you do the work, cleaning up your body, removing the toxins, right? Self-love, self-care, looking at those wounds. There's a whole bunch of layers to it. But a big component that a lot of people miss is that the cause, going to the cause of it, which is the viruses, the bacteria, the heavy metals, the toxins. All of that stuff needs to be cleared out of your body because they are lower vibrational frequencies. And you can't bring in light when you're carrying so much dark. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I hope this helps you, because if somebody would have posted a video like this 15 years ago when I started having that stuff and I would have watched it, it really would have been helpful. It would have saved me a lot. But then I wouldn't have been able to do the deep dive that I've had to get better and be able to share this with you guys. So remember, everything that we experience serves a purpose in some way or another. Sending you guys huge blessings, and I'll talk to you soon.